Okay, so the next thing that I would like to cover is moving our HTML code, which is now currently being held in a template, which is this. It's inline. We use these little weird apostrophes, whatever they are, and then we put our HTML here, but we know that it's very hard to work with HTML here because we have to put all our tags, closing and opening tags and all that. So in order to avoid that, we can actually move this into its own file. We have to use we're typically named the file the same name as our component, except it's going to be HTML. We will assign templateUrl instead of template. It's going to be templateUrl, and we'll also have to assign module ID, because otherwise it's going to be looking for a file in a root of the project. And we can do something similar with the styles. We can add style URL and load our CSS files only for our template. So the first thing that we need to do here is we need to, in our section 1 where I am right now, add a new file, and we call it app.components.html. Alright, and here's our app.component.html. The next thing we need to do is we need to go here to our app component ts and pick up all this code and paste it over there. Okay, so here's the HTML file now with HTML code in it. And now we have to go back to our component here, remove these apostrophes. Instead of template, we're going to have templateUrl, and it's going to be URL into our app.component.html. And for this to work, also we need another thing here, like I said earlier, and that's our module ID. So module ID template URL. So now when we run this, we save all these things, we run it, and it should be working. And yeah, everything is working. Perfect. So like I said earlier, what we can also do here is if we want to have another style sheet on our component based, we can add it here, and then we can add a style sheet that's going to be used only, we'll override properties. For example, if we have some property that we have in a main style sheet that we want to override here, we can do that. So here's our style URLs, and it's an array. In this case, we have a square bracket, and then we need to go ahead and add another class here called app component at CSS in our section 1. So here in our app.component at CSS, I added another h1 tag, and if I save this, it should actually override our root CSS file. And there it is, color purple. And if we had something outside of this, another h1 in our HTML, original HTML, it would not be, this would not affect it. So it's only for this component in this module, only in this module. So that's basically how we move our HTML out of inline template and put it into the template file.